Hi guys, so briefly explaining and describing the difference between the three types of conflict. So, relationship conflict is a strong opposing emotion. Technologic conflict, opposing ideas on how some aims. And moral conflict carries significant influence over staff decision. In my little experience, I believe the one that is most common is the moral conflict. I think every day we work and we may encounter different situations that would questions our moral conflicts because we all have different values obviously and beliefs. So these conflicts are the main difference are the beliefs, like I mentioned, the attitude, and of course our values. Those are the three main difference between them. Okay, so an example of a relationship conflict in the healthcare settings would be buried in a conflict between professionals in front of the patients and the family members. That's my example for that. Another example, an example for technologic conflict would be that I think this is the less common. Um, will be blaming for a perceived poor outcome, as when a patient signs out of the healthcare facility against medical advice, and the physician demands to know why the nurse. So the physician demands to know why the nurse let the patient leave. I believe that's a technological conflict. Now, a moral conflict that I have faced myself will be, for example, the DNR, the Do Not Resuscitate. Um, a lot of families feel like the patients, their family should have a DNR, and I personally um, do not agree with the DNR, but of course I have to work with that and I have to understand how the family members of the patients may feel about that. So that would be an example for me for a moral conflict. And next subject, family as a deficit. Uh, I would say disabling the role of family may play an example is the patient has a high blood sugar levels, and the physician prescribes on a specific low sugar diet, and then the family intervenes, and they say that the patient can eat a regular sweet or a regular meal, and that the medications will prevent any abnormal situation from happening. At this moment, the family becomes a potential negative contributor to the patient's well-being. I see this all the time. People think that because they taken a medication that's gonna prevent completely from the situation, you know, happening, and it's not like that. You take your medication, but you also need to have a diet, and sometimes the family becomes an issue, and they make the patient feel like in a they put them in a spot. They don't know what to do to follow their family or to do whatever the physician is saying. So at that moment, they become a negative contributor to the well-being of the patient at this moment. And the last one, a real life example that I would say that happens all the time is the patients feeling angry at the physician, and they don't quite understand what is going on with their health at the particular moment, and they want reassurance from the physician that they are going to be okay. This is a real life thing that happens all the time. The patients, they have a disease, and they want a reassurance from the physician that they're gonna be okay, that everything's gonna be okay. And the way that I believe the physician should always emphasize this issue is, like, I'm always talking about empathy. I have loved this class because we always mention empathy throughout all the videos, and I believe to this situation you face it with empathy. To this situation, the physician should practice empathy and try to understand the patient's experience from the crisis. So they so this conflict should be addressed by the physician becoming receptive to the negative feedback and attend those negative emotions. So, solve the situation with empathy. The physician has to put themselves in the patient's place. So, thank you, and guys, have a good night.